who would be doing a better job as president? Guess who comes out on top? Within the margin of error, but comes out on top. This looks a lot like the election result, right? Trump 45%, 2 points ahead of Harris at 43%. 12% say they'd be doing about the same. But this is the key nugget here. It's not just about regretting that vote. It's literally saying who would be doing the better job right now. And Trump continues to score a higher percentage of the vote than Kamala Harris.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump again, yes or no?
Yes, I would. Now, in the future, I am not a diehard Democrat or a diehard Republican. If there were a Democratic candidate who was more aligned for me, then I would vote Democrat.
If you go back in time, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
Yes.
I think I might know the answer on this next.
He said yes. It's immediately yes. No, I'm sorry.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
1,000% absolutely yes.
Even though polls are starting to trend that folks are not agreeing with the way Donald Trump is handling the economy, he's still just a few days past 100, and folks are giving him some leeway. But come Christmas, even come August, on the other side of the 4th of July, Americans, especially if it takes longer for things to arrive and they're more expensive, people just are not going to be excited about that, and it's going to start to affect folks in the midterm. Now, whether Democrats are doing enough about this, here's what I would just say. It's not enough to say this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. What are you going to do to make a difference? Because the reason why Donald Trump is getting a little bit of space to figure this out is because people were feeling so much pain before November 5th. But Democrats just can't be anti-Trump. They have to have a vision for the future, and they need to figure it out.
Now, the president has some benefit here. You look at the stock market. You saw the rally Friday. All of the losses that we saw from April 2nd, the quote-unquote Liberation Day, have indeed recovered. The job numbers were pretty strong. Unemployment remained steady. Workers' compensation, for the most part, remained steady. So the marketplace is suggesting that they're giving the president an opportunity, but they do want stability. So I would advise the White House to quickly finalize this tariff negotiation, if you will. And if the president does that, the market will continue to rally, and I think you'll ultimately see a surplus.
What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kenny here today, and I decided that I want to do this video because, you know, I had an interesting little get-together today recently in the neighborhood in my suburb where some people found out I voted for Trump, and it went well. It went fine. People, this is where I start laughing because as much as the left like to push, oh my God, people are regretting Trump's vote. When you look at every survey or you try to find some polls, you're like, where are they getting this from? And a part of me is like, this is projection from the liberal left, is that they just don't like what Donald Trump is doing. And they're trying to project their feelings onto other people. Oh, don't you regret his vote? No, I don't regret my vote. Man's only been in office 4 months. How can I regret something that's only been done 4 months? And you saw from the intro, you saw the data I led in with. You saw the reactions from black conservatives, who many black Democrats or many liberals are trying to say that, oh, these black Trump supporters are really regretting their vote for Trump. And they're like, no, at least those three that Van Jones interviewed. Then you saw that the Democratic panelists, the leftist analysts are starting to catch on what I've been saying for years now, a year now. During the election, right, before the November 2024 election, I put out some videos saying that, hey, saying Trump bad is not enough. Making negative statements about Trump, not insulting Trump supporters is not the way you win them over. The biggest people who pushes people towards Donald Trump are Harris supporters. I was making videos saying all that. The left making fun of me, the left taking jabs at me. And look, what do you see? In 2025, liberal leftist analysts is saying the exact same thing I'm saying. It's not enough to criticize Trump. It's not enough to pretend you're better than Trump. You actually have to offer a solution. You have to actually bring your approach and pitch it and convince the American people that your approach is better than what Donald Trump is offering.
The biggest unforced error of the Biden administration by far was the border. To tell people it's not a problem is insulting. For the working class to see incoming migrants getting welcome bags, debit cards, and motel rooms is probably insulting as well. So there's a lot of work to do. You know, it was when they handed out camo hats that said Harris Walls, and the Democrats were kind of charmed by that. Their party has gone quinoa, and the rest of America's eating at Cracker Barrel. And so it was kind of an ironic use of something millions of Americans put on their heads to start their day every day.
He's doing every single thing he said he was going to do. Now, some people don't like it, but to think that Donald Trump was not going to disrupt the federal government, disrupt our trade relationships by implementing tariffs, he promised it. And you know, the most important screenshot that you put up on that package just earlier was the picture of Kamala Harris. Because you know what? It actually matters who you run against. And it turns out that when Donald Trump laid out his agenda for the American people, which I've said people were looking for the biggest middle finger and they found it, they have a choice to make. And they saw the choice. They saw Kamala Harris. They said, we don't want to go that direction anymore in this country. And you know what? Warren Buffett and all these other guys that have made lots of money on Chinese investments, maybe they don't like it. But you know what? I think it's too bad. But I think eventually we're going to get to the next 100 days, which we are now. And now you're going to see things, tax cuts, rebuilding on the tariff policy. And I just wouldn't judge too early here, because I think Donald Trump does have a way of touching the fire and then going back to the drawing board and getting things lined up. And I think that's what he's doing.
And to further solidify my point, James Carwell says the Democrats can't afford to lie like Republicans do because they would lose credibility, as if Democrats haven't been losing credibility before. You saw the intro. What are they talking about? Carvell lies on a day-to-day basis, so they make no sense. Anyway, here's a compilation of 1% of Biden's lies, right? And this is what I'm talking about with the Democratic Party, is that this little act that Democrats do of acting morally superior to Donald Trump, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny. When you call Donald Trump a liar, you can't be a liar calling Donald Trump a liar. So when people find out you're like, they're like, oh yeah, I'm both saying the same thing. Y'all both doing the same thing. Now, many people say that Donald Trump exaggerates. That's not necessarily a lie. He may get something may be positive in his direction and he blows it up like a salesman, right? But the Democrats outright lie, right? Riley Gaines, here you go. Men can get pregnant. The border is secure. You're vaccinated. You won't get COVID. We left no Americans behind in Afghanistan. Biden is sharp as ever. Shall I keep going? This is how the Democrats get caught, right? They'll sit here saying, oh, we can't lie like Donald Trump. We can't lie like Donald Trump. But you sitting here saying, oh, no, we're better than Trump. No, you're not. You're not better than Trump. Stop acting like it. And it goes back to this little narrative again. Democrats pretend that they're better than Trump when they're not. Democrats rather pretend to be good than actually do good. Democrats pretend they're for the American people, but actually all their actions goes against the interests of the American people. One example, allowing illegals to come here and they get a welcome package, as the segment that I just showed you highlighted. And it's a surprise why Donald Trump increased his voting with minorities, so-called minorities. And it seemed like Democrats still don't get the memo. I don't understand.
What are some of the things that Democrats have been doing that have turned you off and that make you say the party needs to be purged? Who needs to be purged from it, first of all? Do you have any names?
Well, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to do that to a lot of people, but we know.
Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Ilhan Omar. Who else? Maxine Waters. Who else? Who else is just like, I don't understand how they still have office. Who else? Those are the ones I can name off the top of my head, because they're the ones that make the Democratic Party look real bad, right? Nancy Pelosi, she needs to retire already. Like she needs to retire already. Craziness. She's gonna be another Dana Feinstein. I forget. You guys will remind me in the comment section. The other California congresswoman who died in office. She was like 96 years old. Nancy Pelosi, she better sit her butt down. She better sit and enjoy her inside trader money. It's getting ridiculous out here. I digress.
the extreme left is. We know how they go about operating. We know what we lean towards when it came to open borders. We know that the spending was excessive, even though it's excessive on the Republican side as well. I think a $37 trillion budget, when Republicans try to act like it's just the Democrats, that's not true. But the Democrats certainly shouldn't be absolved from blame in that regard. Certainly with identity politics, woke culture, cancel culture, I thought that was something that ravaged our nation psychologically, because you had people literally scared they were going to lose their jobs if they pronounced the wrong pronoun, for crying out loud. It got that bad, and I think that's one of the reasons that Donald Trump is in office today, because so much stuff, a lot is focused on the individual as opposed to actual policies itself. I'm talking about what they preached and what they talked to the American people about, more so than what they're doing. The kind of messages that they were disseminating was incredibly uncomfortable to listen to and to hear, and I thought that it wasn't emblematic of what most Americans are thinking about. They're trying to pay their mortgages, rent, buy food and groceries, pay gas, and deal with the prices, the cost of living. And they want safety in the streets. That's primarily what most American citizens are about.
And Democrats have no track record of giving safety. If you look at every Democratic state, they have some of the highest crime rates there. Now, they make all kinds of excuses for it, but that's the reality. If you want to talk about education, some of the worst education places to be educated at is in a blue state. Illinois comes to mind. Specifically, Chicago. Spend more money, taxpayer money, on educating our children in the public school, and they have some of the worst outcomes in the country. Chicago. This is what we deal with Democrats. Pretending that they're doing good. In reality, they're really doing nothing but maintaining their status quo, maintaining power and control. Right? And then people are shocked when they talk to Black Trump supporters, and they wonder why Black Trump supporters exist in the first place. Because Black Trump supporters are people like me who see, hey, Black people have been voting a certain way for 60 plus years, and nothing has really changed. And I'm thinking, hey, insanity is doing the same thing, voting for the same party over and over and over again and expecting a different result. When you go to Chicago, you want Chicago's education system to improve, right? Does it make sense to continue voting for the same party that have been running that state for decades and expecting something new to happen? No, that's insanity. And I think this is the pragmatism of many Black people who are willing or did vote for Donald Trump. That's the mindset of many people. And if you don't understand this mentality, hey, you're just a Black person that defends status quo. That's it. That's it. But you're not going to be the Black people that change the Black community. I'm sorry. Black people who just blindly vote Democrat, who just say, hey, I vote Democrat because my mama said vote Democrat. My mama said voting for a Democrat is what Black people do. If you have that kind of mentality, you don't understand someone like me. You don't. Who's tired of seeing Black people being at the bottom? Tired of the victim narratives of the Black community? Tired of this idea that, oh, because I'm Black, somehow I'm handicapped. People treat my skin color like it's a handicap position. And then when they find out I'm doing all this stuff, I'm doing well for myself, I'm a homeowner at 29 years old, I have a young family, they're like, wow, you're good. I don't want that to be a surprise anymore. That's my mentality is just different. And I think this is why a lot of Black Democrats don't get it. This is why if you want to hear about Black people who voted for Donald Trump, it can't be a Black Democrat giving that opinion, because their whole mindset is completely different from the mindset of a Black person that supports and votes for the Republican Party and Donald Trump.
Usually when you think about a Trump voter, you think about a white male with a red hat on, but there were millions of Black voters who picked Donald Trump this time. So I came here to talk to 3 of them, and I was surprised by what I found. You weren't always a Republican.
No. Actually, I come from a family that was like super Democratic. My first time voting, I voted.
This is the funny part about like a lot of these Black Democrats when they sit here like complaining about Black conservatives, calling us names and all this stuff, is that they forget that we come from them. Like we had first row seats to the buffoonery of Black Democrats. Like you sitting here telling me that I should keep voting for a party that has given me bad results, that is not necessary for the prosperity of the Black community. A good education is the first step to rising in the social economic channel, right? So why the hell would I support a party that doesn't have a good track record of actually improving education? Democrats' biggest solution to improve education is to throw more money at the problem. Then you do your research, you find out all the money is being soaked up by administration. There's no correlation between adding more money and increasing the value of education. So what you bragging about? Oh, then you find out the Democratic Party, they rely on the teachers union vote. So that means the priorities of the teacher unions and the parents are conflicted. So if I'm a black parent and I want a good education, the Democratic Party ain't the way to go, because they're beholden to teachers unions. Who wants to defend what? Status quo. And status quo, does status quo serve the black community? It doesn't. Look at the test scores of black kids. Look at the proficiency rates. Black students, majority of them can't read, write, or do math in public school. So if I want to change the system, is voting Democrat the solution to my problem? No. But black Democrats, they don't understand. They don't understand.
Democrat. I voted for Joe Biden.
What about Trump appealed to you?
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, part of it is he's an asshole. I like authenticity.
You voted for Obama then you voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. But 2020, you voted for Donald Trump. What made the change?
I began listening to someone. Her name is Candace Owens, and I read her book, and it just opened my eyes to maybe he's not this person that I have been led to believe that he was.
So you voted against Trump in 2016.
And this is the funny part about the narratives that black Democrats like to push. They like to push, like, for instance, like when they see black conservatives, they say, oh, you've been whitewashed, you've been doing all this stuff. And I look and I was like, the news you consume comes from a group, an industry that only has 3.2% of journalists that are considered that are conservative. That means you're liberal wash. Many black people are liberal wash. Like, if I were to use the same game that these race hustlers on the Democratic side, the black Democratic side, love to push, oh, you've been whitewashed, you're appealing to a white audience, like they use race for everything. I can do the same thing about the Democratic Party. I'm like, oh, okay, you programmed by the Democratic Party. The schools you go to, the teacher unions are in line with the Democratic Party. How you know you're not being Democratic washed? How you know you're just being fed narratives that only make the Democrats look good and only make the Republicans look bad? You're educated. Majority of black kids are educated in the public school system. Public school system are ran by what? Females. Females have a high percentage of the time they vote for Democrat. So how you know you're not being brainwashed with liberal sensibilities? You go to college, black women, the racial group that attends the college at a higher percentage than any other racial group, right? How you know you're not being brainwashed by college institutions that are 96% of the faculty are Democrat? But if you find out my audience is majority white, you're saying I'm appealing to a white audience. But you go to these institutions that's majority Democrat, and you're not saying the same argument. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, black Democrat.
Yes.
But then in 2020, you voted for him?
Absolutely.
Why?
I saw how things were going during his first term, and I was pleasantly surprised, and I was pleased with what was happening. I saw the economy getting better. I saw country relations in certain countries getting better.
You know, people, when they think about a Trump voter, they usually think about like a white dude with like a red hat on and a pickup truck, and y'all are not that at all. So Donald Trump's team went in, they took down Harriet Tubman's picture for a quick minute. They're trying to like knock out the black museums. What does that have to do with the price of eggs, and how does that impact you?
In some ways, it's a slap in the face. In other ways, I don't care. I care more about how I'm going to take care of my children.
I don't think the average American cares about that. I know I am sick and tired of seeing black people sit there and complain about something, but not taking action and steps to actually try to change things in an appropriate manner.
This is why I always talk about the incentives in the black community, right? That the black community say they want change, they say they want to get better, but they keep voting for the same party, essentially. Because at the end of the day, I always make this argument when I get confronted by black Democrats in person and stuff, is that when I ask them, okay, you want me to vote for status quo, what about status quo is something that I'd be willing to vote? Like, what benefit does the Democratic have actually to improve your life? Because if everything stayed the same, they're guaranteed to get 93% of black women vote, 77% of black men vote, right? They're guaranteed to get 80% plus of the black community's vote, if they don't change anything, if everything stands the same, that means Democrats have no incentive to actually improve your lives if the current status quo is benefiting the Democratic Party. This is why they're more likely to be like, oh, I'm going to just throw money at a problem. Even though I already pointed out that throwing money at a problem doesn't fix the problem. What Donald Trump is doing is more of a benefit for Black America than what anything Kamala Harris was going to do. Kamala Harris was going to throw money at the teachers' unions for what? You increase the pay, the salaries, you make it harder to fire these bad teachers. For what? For a subpar education that's not even benefiting your community, especially if you're one of these race-first Black people. Oh, I'm Black first. Okay. How is this helping Black people? Donald Trump is dismantling the Department of Education that has not served the educational improvement of the Black community. All you have to do is look at the nation's test scores, the proficiency rates amongst Black students. That's all you have to see. Outcomes. And I want a different outcome. So what I have to do? Vote differently. You can't be sitting here complaining about, oh, both sides are bad. They're two birds of the same plane. But that argument makes no sense when majority of your people vote for one side already. 93% of Black women vote for the Democratic Party. 77% of Black men vote for the Democratic Party. So how are you blaming both sides? Make it make sense. Oh, both sides are the problem. Well, 77% of your people don't think so. They don't think one side is the problem. But they only want to say this mess when they find a Black conservative, when they find a Black Republican. That's the only time you want to hear when people want to say both sides, two birds of the same plane. Both politicians are liars. That's the only time when they open their mouth and say that stuff. But when they get the Black Democrat out here like Roland Martin, Black Democrats can do no wrong. They do everything right. I don't hear that. I don't see that in the comment section when I go on these people's comment section. I don't hear people saying, oh, they're two birds of the same plane. Oh, well, both parties are liars. Oh, no one's listening out the bad things that Democrats do for the Black community. But all of a sudden I get all you Black conservatives, Black Republicans, they get all this. Make it make sense. And I always joke around. I said Black Democrats, if Black people scrutinize the Democratic Party as much as they scrutinize the Republican Party, they'll be at a different place politically. But I digress. Let me wrap up this video so I can end off with my final thoughts.
Let's talk about running for a third term. Now, what do you think about that?
The third term, for me, absolutely not. I think it's at the end of these 4 years, it's time to move on.
This is a prime example of him trolling people because people have said, like, oh, if he gets in the office, he's going to be a dictator. He's going to try to run for a third term. So he's like, okay, y'all think I'm going to do that? I'm going to mess with y'all and say this to tick y'all up.
I thought you loved this man because he's so authentic and he's such a truth teller.
But you need to know the difference between somebody trolling somebody, and this is a prime example of him being a troll.
This is a prime example of the media taking him literally, right? This is the funny part. When Joe Biden had that famous statement in 2020 that if you had a problem between voting for me or Donald Trump, then you ain't Black. I was insinuating that, hey, you're not Black. You're not a Black person if you're weighing your options between me and him, right? No, when we take that literally, oh, no, he didn't mean that. He didn't really mean that. He didn't really mean that. Donald Trump said a statement, media takes him literally. And I think this is some of the problems that I have with the media apparatus that we have today. But I think I'm going to leave it off right there. I think I've been complaining enough, honestly. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you regret your Trump vote? I think I already know the answer, but it needs to be said because Democrats seem to not believe the American people when we're saying, yo, 4 months in, man, it's hard to regret something that we didn't even, it doesn't even have enough time to see what the outcomes are. And this rush to judgment is not benefiting the Democratic Party. I showed you clip after clip highlighting that Democrats, it's not enough to be a critic. It's time that you bring about an approach and have that debate. But they want to pretend that they want to have that debate, but in reality, they don't. Because every policy you look, it only benefits one thing, the Democratic Party. Democrats, their constituents, their voting blocks. That's the only thing Democrats want to push and support. They see illegals as imported voters, imported Democrat voters. And they want these Democratic voters to stay in this country. And this is why they fight so hard for illegals. Until Democrats become honest about why they want illegals in this country, I think they'll lose on this issue. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.